point I now need to do C3 and whatever the other one is. But you can't do those wrong because one's a massive capacitor and one's a teeny capacitor. And again, they mount on this side. And the white mark will go to the black mark that you can't see yet because I haven't unwrapped it. There we go. So our little capacitor has a black line on one side that will go to the appropriate black line. Because I'm right-handed, I need to solder it from this side. If you're left-handed, you may solder it the other way around. We have worked with people who are left-handed solderers. When you get a really awkward job, it's very useful. I'm going to do the other one before I solder the other pin. So this one is much larger. Thankfully, we're just about at the end of the Banderilla components. We've just got the two surface mount chips to put in. So let's orient that first. I've already tinned the board. Didn't have enough room to solder the other tag at first. Okay, so what have we got left? 2 chips. That's when we're going to do things slightly differently. So we just check the instructions. Oh, there you go. So yeah, they wanted me to do the chips first. I say I do the chips later. So let's get on with the chips. The orientation of them. Going back earlier. So, pin 1 on U1 is there in this corner, and pin 1 on U3 is in this corner. And what it is a great idea to do first is to tin it. Now you have to be quite sparing with this stuff, but unlike a lot of stuff there is no need to remove it afterwards. Some fluxes you need to use horrible solvents to remove after the event. So we just want it wet, not soaking. I expected this to be less runny, but let's see what happens, eh? Now the technique, which I did review because it's been so long. First first thing to do is to tin a pin in one corner, and to me it's going to be that one and this one. And that's going to be the easiest for me to orient myself to. So this is in an extruded piece of plastic. There would have been part of a strip with hundreds of these things in. Let's see if we can get it out. There we go. The first thing to do is to check the orientation of the chip. Now, it's very easy to think that there's more than one pin. There's dots here and here and here, but this dot, it's hard to show on camera, that dot is much deeper. And I want to do this chip first for soldering practice. And this one has a notch, which is what you normally get on dual inline chips, and then they number anti-clockwise, I think. So the dot, this will be pin 1. So this one, because it's so large, I'm going to use my bare hands. I'm going to orientate it, and I'm looking at both sides, not just the side I'm soldering. Right, so that lines up. The trick then is to do the opposing pin. Okay, that's not quite perfect. Let's be a perfectionist. And it'll pay dividends, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to change this one slightly. It's drifted somehow. Right, don't worry about that bit of surplus solder. I'll just have a quick wipe of the old iron. Now, if we've done a good job on this, it should just flow all the way across. Didn't get the second one. Okay, if you get too much solder on, don't worry about it. Just simply remove it using some braid. Okay, it seems like the camera's missed an awful lot of this project, but I may not bother publishing it in that case. So this is the photoresistor. Okay, so it says after soldering all the small components, we will not solder the LED dot matrix at this time. At this time, plug the circuit board in to test the function. After the power is on, the LED will flash, the buzzer will scream, indicating that initialization is normal. Then touch the touch, which appears to be this pad here and this pad here. So touch the touch pad, press the key to see if the buzzer will sound. If the LED flashes when touched, the buzzer is not called. If the LED flashes when touched, if the buzzer is not called, please check with the mini USB soldering or short circuited and whether soldering is correct. Touch buttons do not respond, please check whether R1 and 2 are soldered. If the buzzer is not called, please check whether the other things. It even mentions a triode. I don't think there's any triodes in here. And they've used the same ancient micro USB. So let's plug it in and see what happens. So let's plug it into my computer down here because that's the nearest available thing. Let's see if it beeps and flashes and so the buzzer doesn't. Okay. If the buzzer is not called, check whether the two chips are DS231 and 9012. So the buzzer's in the right way round. T1 is soldered correctly. Okay, so the buzzer doesn't work. I'm not going to get really excited about that. So fit the dot matrix modules with the letters going towards this side. So the letters follow these letters. So I know some of these are not polarised, but apparently this one is. So I'm checking the pins are not too bent on these because it's going to make them very tricky to orient. Then once you've got them in, you can just tease that one out slightly. Got to be honest, one of the things that attracted me to this kit was the size of these LEDs, which they look absolutely massive in the advert, and then you find that they're about 1.5 inches across, which is fine. The trick is not to put one side in too far, and then you can use the bendiness of the legs to lever the other side in. Very easy to overbend these legs. Okay, solder up and be damned. I'll stick to the fine solder, I think. And I'll solder them individually rather than trying to run across, because they're not really close enough together to do that. The thing with this kit is not so much that you'll gain an understanding of the internal functioning of it, but rather that you get used to handling electronic components and gain the confidence to go on to more advanced stuff. Because a lot of the stuff I'm hoping to do with the single board computers is not just with the computer's chips themselves, or by just plugging in pre-made hats. It's about developing your own individual circuits. And yeah, sure, I can produce PCBs for a lot of them, but it's about having an understanding of electronic components generally. I didn't mention before that resistors, it makes no difference which way round you fit them. Capacitors, if they're not electrolytic or not polarised, they don't matter. So the little brown ones are fitted on the board. It makes no difference which way they go. The large electrolytics, they're tiny, but they're large compared to the other ones in this kit. They do matter, and electrolytics will go bang if you put them in the wrong way. Depending on the size of the electrolytic, that can be dramatic or trivial. If you do it with a supercapacitor, anything over a farad, you'll know about it. Okay, now I think the plastic cover would like that these pins were not bent, so I'll unbend a few of them, because these wires have to slot into the slot and the slotted plastic. Slotty. So let's see if this works. Right, because of the daylight, okay, so my camera decided to be awkward and miss out a lot of the video, so I would have to take it apart and reassemble it again. So we've got the filter on the front. I had issues with the mounting on the back, that these things would not go over the microphone, which means the microphone instructions are wrong. It should go in the other way around. It would have been nice to have checked that out first. So that screen and this one will not go on unless I modify this hole, which I'll do when you're not looking. So it will not retain its time without the battery, and you can't fit the battery with the cover on. So yeah, there's a couple of minor issues here. The two buttons here and here, you have to press them both together to get it into menu mode. So at the moment I've just reset everything, it's all gone wrong. So if we press both together, we can now set the time. So by pressing the left hand button, I can set the time to 14, and you do have to do one press for each. 20. Not sure what the point of the flashing LEDs on the back is. You can set the seconds, I'm not bothered. Now this birthday thing, it doesn't seem to be possible to turn it on or off for some reason, which is annoying. Don't seem to get all the modes. You really do have to read the instructions with this. Ah! Spoken the opposite way around. So you press both to go into the menu, and then the right hand one is the selector. So let's go around again. So date, so it's the 12th. Seems if you press that too many times it resets. So you can have alarm on and off, and then you'd have to set the time accordingly. Not going to bother doing that now. It's just fine for going back to the start again. Font. So that's now got double colons that aren't flashing. Keeps going back when you press the left hand one. I'm sure it's not supposed to do that. Oh well, that's a glimpse at it. There's about 17 different things you can change on it. Yes it is Sunday, you got that bit right. So yeah, there's a lot you can set up and customise on it, and if you mount your buzzer and your microphone the right way around, they'll work. I'm not actually bothered in the slightest about the buzzer, and the microphone I can live without, so I'm not going to dismantle it all just to change those around. especially as I managed to mount the microphone on the wrong side of the board the first time. But it's a good idea to check that before you actually put your LEDs in. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my first video. Okay, so here's the clock working in situ. So we get the time first, then the temperature, then the date, day and month, then the day, and then an interesting message. Turns out it's Mother's Day in China, not in the UK. Not sure how we changed that because there's no locale setting. And then back to the date again. So there are way more modes on here than I could ever show. You can change fonts, format of date and time, what colon, the flashing colon is in the centre. It just does all manner of things. You could literally spend all day messing around with it. But there you go, that's the finished product. I'd just like to show you, I did actually get the backplate to fit after a little bit of drilling, and I'm really pleased with the product. Didn't pay a fortune for it. I managed to assemble it in an afternoon, including all the videoing, so I'm happy with my new toy. Hope you are if you decide to build one too.